I've always been kind of late getting into trends. I got a little bit behind on watching Stranger Things, and the alcoholic seltzers were something that I didn't catch on until a couple years after. But at least those are just personal preferences, not game-changing ideas. BC finally is getting into the trend of NIL with a big discussion today about the AD's press release on NIL.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On BC, AJ Black. I'm the editor and publisher of Eagle Insider. NIL has changed the landscape of college sports. We've heard all the stories. Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, you name it. They're getting big money to go to other schools. While a school like Boston College, fans have been asking and asking and asking, when are they going to get into this? Because it seems like BC has been falling behind, that there's no unified approach to dealing with this. BC continued for the last 2 years to kind of just go with we're a good academic institution. We don't need to get our hands dirty in that. But things have changed. Now, if you've been following the NIL stuff, let me clarify what I'm going to talk about today. There have been BC players that have taken advantage of NIL. There's been quite a few of them. We know about Zay Flowers and Phil Jakovic and Christian Mahogany with McGovern Motors, who's a BC grad. They all got cars out of that. We saw Zay Flowers at Dunkin' Donuts. There's been some restaurants, NILs. There's been I think the lacrosse team did a whole camp series I saw recently. So there's been opportunities for individual players to go out and try to make their name. But you haven't seen a unified front until about 3 months ago, when the Friends of the Heights NIL group that was with, I think it was Danya Abrams. There's a few, former BC grads that are into business. Tim McLaughlin is running it, and there's a bunch of other names of guys that have been part of that feature. They came out and said they're going to put together a full NIL program for Boston College, and that seemed great. The big deal of this, though, and I felt really bad for them when they created this, was there was no advertisement from the school. It was silence, and I thought that was kind of odd. Like, NIL is big. You have a group of alumni that are planning on helping you deal with this issue. And, finally, you don't get any response from the school. No press release, no flashing it on the Jumbotron at basketball and football games. And I thought that was weird. And I don't know. I've heard that, as a university, that there was not, from the higher ups, a full understanding of what NIL was, or a, not just an understanding, but like an agreement on how to handle it at the school. And finally, on Friday, you get news dumps. I thought this was an intriguing news dump that BC gets. We got texts, emails, you name it. And I'll read it to you if you have not seen it yet. And it's entitled, "A Letter from Blake James, Boston College Athletics in NIL." Dear friends of BC Athletics, as many of you are aware, the world of intercollegiate athletics is undergoing substantial change, with student athletes now having the opportunity to monetize their name, image, and likeness. BC Athletics seeks to graduate our 700 varsity student athletes, compete for championships in our 31 division sports, and develop our players to become men and women for others. For Boston College teams to continue to compete in NCAA sports, we need to attract and retain elite student athletes, which in today's world includes supporting their efforts to benefit from their NIL. During the last year and a half, many of our BC Eagles have been taking advantage of NIL opportunities. If you or your business are interested in working with one of our student athletes, please contact Craig Anderson, our compliance officer, to ensure that your potential opportunity is within the parameters established by the NCAA. An additional way you can support Boston College students athletes is through contributions to Friends of the Heights, a collective led by BC alumni and supporters, which helps facilitate NIL opportunities for student athletes. If you're interested, they give the name is Tim McLaughlin. You can find that all there. And then I have to laugh. Of course, BC adds this. This is such a BC response. Please note that Friends of the Heights is a separate organization, and a contribution to Friends of the Heights does not affect Boston College lifetime giving or allow you to receive institutional credit for your gift. Your continued support of Boston College is very much needed and appreciated. Thank you for all you do for our students athletes, for Boston, Blake James. So, Party says, I'm shocked they didn't start with the Boston College University reference. Yeah. Well, better late than never, I guess. I mean, if you're gonna look at this through a positive light, at least BC is starting to get it. I mean, it's 2 years or a year and a half, almost 2 years late, but at least they're not keeping their head in the sand, because I look at this and I say, this is something that BC desperately needs. With this talk of conference realignment, when you've got Clemson and Florida State and UNC all getting, really angry at the conference for schools like BC for not really doing much, BC has to be able to, as Blake James said, attract student athletes here. You can't do what you plan to do if you don't have NIL. Okay. You have to have that as a component of your plan here. You have to get, some sort of system here so that, things stay in place. And I don't think this has to do with recruiting. I see football fan out there saying that this is some sort of excuse by Halfley. I don't think this has anything to do with that. I think this has to do with what we've seen in all athletic venues, which is players getting enticed because of NIL. If BC doesn't have it, if you're a kid and you could make money, BC is saying, we're not going to pay you. Every other school is saying, you could come here and you can make money. Which one do you think a lot of these players are going to go to? You can get Zay Flowers and Christian Mahogany who stay here to do things, but you're going to lose guys. And you're going to see guys leaving. And I don't know with the transfer portal out, right now, what guys have left because of it. But I know that you best believe guys like Quentin Post, there's guys that are going to be on the football team that, other schools are going to look at and try to use that. The retaining piece, I think, is the most important part. Because if you're going to develop play, BC, it's a recipe for failure at any sport. I'm not talking just Halfley here. If your goal is to develop players, but you start to develop kids and, you get the growing pains, you get guys, you saw some of the younger kids last year that they struggled and went through it, but hopefully by the end of their time, they get better. You develop them, and then all of a sudden, one of these blue chips goes, here's a bucket of money. Why don't you come here and you lose them when they're at that level that you need to compete? You have to be able to change that. You have to be able to keep those guys here. And you can't just do it because you're BC and say, oh, we're going to give you a world-class education here. You should stay here. You should have that as part of it, but you should also have the NIL. In a moment, I'm going to continue my discussion about this and talk about why I think this is such a crucial move for BC. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you about my good old friends at Built Bar. The Built March Madness bracket is here. We know you have a favorite bar or puff, and now's your chance to make it count. Go to BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote for your favorites. I'll be voting for the cookies and cream. And if you want a team like Drake or Duke to win, then you'll be voting for that bar too. Support your team, support your bar puff. I think I'm going to go with Duke to win some big time games. So that's what I'm saying that right now. And when you vote your favorite bar or puff, you'll be entered into a drawing where 50 Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built. Not only that, but Locked On fans will win a 12-month subscription to Built to have Built bars delivered monthly straight to your door. Man, I want to get in on this. You got to try Built. They're great. What makes Built and Puff so good? Well, for starters, they're 100% covered in chocolate. So go to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote for your favorite bar or puff and pick up a box while you're there. You can vote every day in March. So hop on in and support your pick. Locked On BC, AJ Black here. We're talking NIL. This has been a hot button topic here for BC fans. And I'm going to go to a football fan who says, AJ, how many football recruits do you honestly believe do not come to BC solely based off of NIL? It's just another excuse from Hafley. So I don't know what your deal is with Hafley, but this has nothing to do with Jeff Hafley. I'm talking above Hafley for this stuff. This NIL issue is not a coach issue, because you best believe that if Jeff Hafley, Earl Grant, Joanna McNamee, Greg Brown, Mike Gambino, if these guys had their way, they would be set. They would have a rich NIL program here at BC, because it would help to get kids here and keep them here. I think, honestly, you're right, football fans. I don't think NIL it would do anything in terms of getting recruits here. I think it's all about retaining players. I think that's the biggest issue BC is facing, because the kids that are getting paid to go play somewhere else, they would have never come to BC anyways. They're never going to come to BC. But it's those players like if Donovan Azaraku continues his ascent, he's already become one of the best pass rushers. Pro Football Focus has him as one of the 10 best coming into next year. How much would it stink if Oklahoma came in and Brent Venables was like, hey, we got this boosters for the Sooners. Why don't we pay him, $75,000 just to come play for us? And then you lose him right at the height of where he's supposed to be good. I think that is the big issue. So I'm hoping that the NIL initiative that we have here at the Friends of the Heights continues to really develop, because I think this is it's a noble group for them. I like the feel of what they're doing. We've talked to them. We've had articles up on Eagle Insider about what they're trying to do. And I see more and more guys out there doing different things. I mean, we just saw the basketball team do the NIL club. I don't even know what that one's called. We had Mason Madsen on 2 weeks ago. He talked about that. They're trying to raise funds that way. We had, I just saw Donald Hand, who is a player who played 6 halves of basketball for BC, not even that, doing an NFT sale where if you can spend $5,000 for NFTs. There's all these little things. Christian Mahog, Zay Flowers, and one of the track stars, I think it was, doing something with N State, which is a shoe company, which we've had the owner on, and NFT company. So there's all these little things, but what BC lacked is a unified vision. And I honestly believe, heart of hearts here, that every administrator in the sports department hope to have something here, some sort of program. I think it goes higher than that. It goes to the people running the school, maybe not understanding as much as how about how impactful not having NIL is here. So I'm curious to see where they go with that, right? So I got a lot of folks talking in the comment section, but we'll get to those in just a second here. Obviously the biggest thing with teams is winning, right? Obviously you want to get your team playing at that high level, but I think this is going to be one of those things that you have to adapt as a program too. You have to be able to have the infrastructure to compete at the level that other schools are competing at right now. And it just seemed like such a odd, I don't even know how to say it. It just seemed bad. Let's just leave it at that BC had nothing, that they had just chosen to just look the other way. And I don't know if that was more that they wanted more donations for their athletic programs and they thought that NIL was going to take that away, or there was some other, philosophical reason why BC has not done it, but having Blake James say that, I think, is big. It's something to start with, and that's kind of what we're going to leave it off as that. Now, in a moment, I want to talk about this weekend. There was a big series for BC baseball which really put them back on the map. We will get into that in just a moment. But BC basketball is done right now. But if you're like me, you're getting ready to fill out your bracket. So I want you to grab your bracket and go listen to the Locked On College Basketball Bracket Breakdown. With national analysis and the insights from our local experts, the Locked On College Basketball Breakdown has everything you need to make the most informed decisions on your bracket. Find the episode on Locked On College Basketball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Now, I was excited. This weekend, FanDuel opened up in Massachusetts. And if you are ready to make your bets, you need to head over to FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here. It is now the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no sweat first bet of up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sports app. It's safe, secure, and it is easy to use. So don't miss out, and don't miss the chance to get your first no sweat first bet of up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Locked On BC, AJ Black here. Now, if I was saying this over the weekend, before the weekend started, if you have not done so already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are doing a rush to 1,000 subscribers. We are a BC channel. I know it's hard to do this, but I want to get you all involved too. If we can get to 1,000 subscribers, when we get to 1,000, I don't want to say if, because I know we can do it. I am going to give away 2 Home Field Apparel t-shirts. Those are they're the good company. And I'm going to support them and get you guys, our listeners, 2 shirts of your choice. So subscribe. If you have more than one account, subscribe a couple times. The quicker we get to 1,000, the quicker we'll get those prizes out. So subscribe today at YouTube. Find Locked On BC there. All right. If you know about me, I am a big baseball fan, but it's been something in my life that I've had to kind of give up because it's just way too much time. Baseball in major leagues just seems to go on forever. I know they got the new pitching timer rule, which I'm pumped about because I don't have 4 hours to sit and watch a Red Sox Yankee game anymore now that I have kids. It's that's 3 days of my life. That being said, BC baseball has woken up. I don't know, man, what has gotten into this team, but they have just finished off one of the most exciting weeks in BC baseball history. They're now 12-2 after winning 2 out of 3 against number 10 Virginia Tech in Blacksburg this weekend. After losing pretty decisively in that first game, they woke up. Joey Veterano hit another home run. He is showing up big time in that in the box score. I think he's got 3 or 4 home runs this week. And BC wins 8-5 in the first game, 7-3 in the second. Now, if you have not checked out BC baseball, let me give you a name to look for. If you want to see some good pitching, they've got a pitcher, and his name is Chris Flynn. And this kid, I think he is a transfer from Roger Williams. I had to look it up. He threw 5 2/3 innings. He's 4-0. He's one of the leaders in the country in strikeouts. He's one of the leaders in the country in wins. And this kid is doing it every single time out there. And this kid is a ball of energy too. If you watch him, he gets really jacked up when he's pitching. So I would love to see what this kid can do as they get going. But this ends a week where BC beats number 2 Tennessee, and they win against Virginia Tech, a top 10 team. BC had no votes in the AP poll last week, or the not AP poll, but the college baseball poll. They have to be a top 25 team this week. You have 3 top 25 wins, 3 top 10 wins in a week. You're playing you're playing your best ball. You look like an elite team out there. They look like a team that is destined to compete for the ACC. This is insane because we are just 8 months away removed from everyone talking about why the heck is Mike Gambino still the head coach. Well, I don't know if he figured it out, if he just changed some things around him, but the team is pitching well. They're hitting better. They're on a roll. They're on a serious roll here. Now they get Holy Cross next, and they have a weekend series against Florida State. Again, there's no easy games in ACC baseball, but at 12-2, this team is ready to be something that we're all going to kind of have to rally around here and get into, because I like good sports. I like when BC plays well. I'm not a bandwagon fan. It's just been BC baseball has been so irrelevant for such a while. And I comment and watch what you guys are interested in. No one was talking about them. Well, that all changed now. Folks are talking about BC baseball. They're looking at this team. They're looking at what this team is doing right and where they're winning. And I saw national reporters talking about BC baseball. This team is in good shape. I mean, Vetrano has, I lost track of how many home runs he has. I had it right in front of me and then I just lost it. Let me pull it up. Never mind. This thing is, their websites are hard to navigate. Oh, he's got 6. He has 6. He has, he hit one in the first game, but he hit 4 home runs this week. He's hitting 283 with 6 home runs and 13 RBIs. So you've got elite talent here. And I think this is going to be a team that we'll have to keep talking about. I love watching them. I hope you guys do too. So we'll wrap things up here. Thank you all for listening. And thank you all who are in the comment section. If you have liked this episode, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the like button anyways. Thank you all, and enjoy. We're getting ready to start watching some college basketball action for this NCAA tournament. I don't know who I'm going to pick to win this whole thing. Alabama, maybe. I don't know. But we'll talk more about basketball as the week goes on. This is AJ Black. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack_BC. We're the only BC podcast that does this 5 days a week. Please join us again tomorrow. We'll be talking more. We're getting ready for BC football to return to spring practice after having a week off for spring break. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you again soon. Take care.